Bungie has banned Destiny 2 in Russia. We recently reported this, and we now have an update where Destiny 2 players are apparently getting full refunds for all of the content they purchased in Destiny 2 now, which is crazy, right? It's obviously appropriate. You should get a refund if suddenly you can't play this game and all the money you've put into it. But definitely sucks for the Destiny 2 players that want to still play the game. You know, they've maybe invested thousands of hours into it. Let's start from the beginning, though, in case you didn't watch the last video. Basically, Bungie tweeted this out 2 weeks into the Witch Queen on March 9th, 2022. They said, Bungie stands with the people of Ukraine and everyone impacted by the ongoing war. Starting today, we will be working with our partners to suspend all Destiny 2 sales and commerce in Russia and Belarus. Now, the reason why they're doing this, as far as I understand, is because they don't want to be complicit in Putin's war crimes. Like, they don't want to support Putin and his, this war he's waging on Ukraine for seemingly no reason. And I'm not here to get into the politics of that, but I think that that's the gist of it, right? So that's the macro of it. Obviously, the micro is the Destiny 2 players, they're losing their accounts and they're getting refunded, which is something we haven't really ever seen before. I mean, this is we're entering uncharted territory, surely. So this did happen 3 years ago, but none of this has actually been implemented until just last week, when tons of people were getting on the forum saying, what the hell is going on? For a whole week now, I get to peer error. I can't log into the game. It's already been the second week and everything is the same. When will it be fixed so I can play normally? And so Bungie helped themselves literally respond to this, saying Destiny services are not available where access is restricted by law. Confused about that, perhaps, where Destiny, so is it by law? Is there a law in Russia where you can't, you know what I'm saying? I'm wondering what is that about? What law is there that doesn't allow Destiny services to work in Russia? I'm curious about that. Maybe some people that understand the, political complexity can explain this in the comments below. But basically, this is the response that Bungie gave. But I feel like the reality is that it's because they're putting sanctions on them, right? They're choosing to remove. This is finally going in effect, is our perception of it. Bungie hasn't given us like a big article explaining what really is going on here. It's just they flipped a switch, and last Tuesday at reset, they said no to peer error codes for everyone in Russia, or I believe it's called the CIS area. And so it's not just Russia, it's like other areas too. And that's pretty crazy, right? So now you don't get to play Destiny 2 if you're in that area unless you use a VPN. If you use a VPN, then you can still play Destiny 2. Yeah, there is no law though. This part is what I'm really curious about. I feel like this restricted by law. I don't think there is a law in Russia that's denying Destiny 2 services, yeah. Like, it's one thing if you don't like Gambit, but to just put to put it in law, Gambit is illegal, God, I don't like Gambit, but I can't get behind that, And so it's restricted by law. That's literally what Bungie is saying. I'm not sure if it's that, law. It seems like that's not accurate though. I'm not sure, but maybe it is. This is a very short message from Bungie Help, not even the original Bungie Help 3. So it is what it is. I think that this is the actual reason why. I don't know if there's a combination of the two, but this is what Bungie said. I'm not sure. So you have to educate me. So this guy says, I recommend that you refund the game like I did. Maybe when they lose the money, they will care. And now that refund is happening. Now we have an article here says Steam is issuing full refunds for Destiny 2 Edge of Fate and Year of Prophecy Ultimate Edition. So if you didn't like the campaign and if you weren't having fun with the power grind, you're getting your money back, but only if you're in Russia. After Bungie blocked access in multiple countries. So this is the right thing. Obviously, if you deny people the ability to play the content that they paid for, you should, of course, give them a refund. I don't know how much this is going to be. This could be a substantial amount of money. I don't know how big the gaming scene is in Russia and the CIS area. Steam has started issuing full refunds for Destiny 2 Edge of Fate and Year of Prophecy Ultimate Edition after Bungie blocked access in multiple countries with no prior warning. I guess technically this is their prior warning. This was 3 years ago. So this part of the article, they weren't very transparent about it though. Bungie did just kind of flip a switch randomly on a Tuesday reset. Over the past week, Destiny 2 players in several countries have been locked out of the game entirely, with to-peer error codes preventing them from logging in. This started quietly with complaints from players in Russia, Kazakhstan, Belarus, and other regions. So man, you guys are getting it everywhere. But it quickly grew into a bigger issue as more and more people realized that they couldn't access content that they had already paid for, which is an important element to it, right? Bungie's that tweet looks like a warning, said someone in the Twitch chat. It said, starting today, we're working with our partners to suspend all Destiny 2 sales and commerce. This is a pretty strong message, I would say. Bungie's only official response so far has been a one-line sentence shared in response to the forum threads. Destiny services are not available where access is restricted by law. No actual countries were named, and no details were provided about what law this is referring to. Again, yes, we're getting right back to the root of it. And this is the part I'm interested. What is this law, Bungie? What is the law that is happening here? Because as far as we know, there wasn't any law passed that banned Destiny 2 or any other game for that matter. I mean, if a law was passed in Russia, then it would affect more games than Destiny 2. Like Destiny 2 is not that big on the radar, right? Destiny 2 is not that big on the radar. There would be a lot of other games. I feel like I would have heard about this. I could even ask ChatGPT because ChatGPT would be smart sometimes. Is there a law in Russia banning Destiny 2? And you might think asking ChatGPT is ridiculous, but it does kind of like comb through a lot of the internet. And so, yeah, ChatGPT says, no, there is no known Russian law that outright bans Destiny 2, but there are restrictions and actions that de facto limit access or purchases. So as far as ChatGPT knows, as far as that goes, they don't know of the law. We'll find out. I mean, surely Bungie is going to update it, right? There's no law passed in Russia. Obviously there's no law passed in America, right? Like I'm trying to think of it from both sides. There's no law in America that's like you cannot distribute entertainment into Russia anymore. I don't know. We have to get deep into politics here just to make some progress on this one. At the time of writing, the block is still active. Some players have tried using workarounds like VPNs and DNS changes, but for many, the game remains unplayable. Really? So I'm curious. We asked a Russian Destiny 2 player in the chat earlier if they're able to play Destiny 2, and they said yes, they are because of a VPN. So as long as you know how to use a VPN, I think you can still get around it. Make sure you change your location outside of Russia. So you download whatever VPN you're going to use, and then you change your location to a place where it's not banned, far away, and you'll connect to that server, and you should be able to play. However, your account inside Bungie.net might be linked to your Russian account, so I'm not sure how that all works. I'm not sure if that's like, is that even breaking terms of service? If it is breaking terms of service, I didn't say anything. I cannot be held liable for these accusations. Allegedly, I would like to call my lawyer now. Now it looks like Steam has stepped in, at least temporarily. Players who found themselves locked out of Destiny 2 have started requesting refunds, and many of those requests have been approved. Wow, okay. So if you want, at the very least, if you are a victim of the situation, you can at least request a refund from Steam, and apparently they will make good on that. Steam is refunding Destiny 2: The Edge of Fate. Over the past 24 hours, reports started showing up across Reddit and the official Bungie forums claiming that Steam is approving refund requests for Destiny 2 Edge of Fate and the Year of Prophecy Ultimate Edition. Damn. Here's the thing. What about all the other content prior to that? What about all the content that you no longer get access to for all those? I mean, I guess you did get to play that content for the whole year from start to finish. So you can't complain too much, but it is meant to be live service content, right? Like if we can get upset about sunsetting in 2020, losing Leviathan, then I think we can get upset about losing the final shape and not getting a refund, right? What makes this especially surprising is that these approvals came despite the standard Steam policy that limits refunds to users with under 2 hours of playtime. Oh, so they actually went against their own terms of service. Usually if you play the game for more than 2 hours, you're allowed a refund, or for less than 2 hours, you're allowed a refund rather. So say, for example, you logged into Destiny 2, you started playing the campaign, you jumped into Matterspark, and you're like, oh, hell no, I'm out of here, right? If you did so in less than 2 hours, you could have got a refund, but now you've potentially played Destiny 2 for dozens of hours. This might be merging to PlayStation and Bungie and how Helldivers wasn't allowed in certain countries, and also be political stuff. Oh, this is definitely political. Let's make no mistake of this. This is absolutely political. This is not anything other than that. I mean, this is what this statement says right here. I mean, Bungie stands with the people of Ukraine and everyone impacted by the ongoing war. Starting today, we will be working with our partners to suspend all Destiny 2 sales and commerce, right? In Russia. Like, this is because they do not want to be complicit in Putin's war crimes. That's what it's all about, Like, you can spin it a different way if you want. You can try to perceive it as anything else, but obviously Bungie is in the business of making money. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to sell the game. They're not trying to not sell the game to anyone. They don't hate people in Russia. What? Russian people, there's nothing wrong with being someone from Russia. They feel as though if they allow Destiny 2 to function and create, commerce and revenue, that in the process, they're basically complicit in allowing Russia to do what they're doing to Ukraine, right? You could call it whatever you want, And I get that there's we're entering that realm of politics, and as soon as you go down that, it's a never-ending vacuum of craziness. So I'm not trying to get too deep down that rabbit hole, but that's what that's what they're doing. That's the macro, right? The micro is the individual Destiny 2 players are on the forums like, hey, what the hell? This is the micro. From the individual's perspective, they're like, hey, I'm just a Destiny 2 person that just happens to live in Russia. Like this is not what did I do? What'd you say fuck me for? So that's their perception, and that's why they're frustrated. But Bungie's hope, I think, from this would be that the Destiny 2 players in Russia would redirect their frustration to the leadership and be like, you are making life in Russia hell because of what you're doing to Ukraine, And so that's the goal, I think. But sometimes the frustration can be, I wouldn't say misplaced, because you have a right to feel upset at Bungie, because you can feel how you want to feel. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to think or how to feel. That's ridiculous. But that's what Bungie's goal is, right? The game post has now verified multiple cases of full refunds being issued. In the screenshots we reviewed, players affected by the Tapir error were granted refunds to their Steam wallets even after logging dozens of hours into the game since the expansion launched. One user shared confirmation that their refund was processed within an hour of submitting the ticket. So they're on it. They're on top of it. If you're out there and you are unable to play, you can get a full refund. I don't know what you do, though. Like, you could do the refund route. You can do the alleged VPN route that I'm totally not promoting in any way, shape, or form because of potential terms of service violations. I definitely did not say anything about VPN, maybe, unless it's not against terms of service. Like 90% of people that are like hardcore Destiny players, 90% or more are just going to be like, all right, I guess I'll just pay for a VPN now, like whatever. Because like if you have thousands of hours in the game, if this is like your main game, you really like the community, having that all stripped from you feels a little bit misplaced, maybe. It feels a little bit unnecessary, from the player's perspective, right? Like, I get it from the big perspective. I get why, like when you're looking from the top down, but when we're looking from the bottom up, it's like, man, it's tough. Here's what one player told Steam support when requesting a full refund. Since the 17th of September, logging into the game is impossible due to Tapir error codes. That's been consistent. Everyone, you're getting Tapir error codes. It's because you're in the Russia CIS-based accounts. This appears to be a shadow ban of all CIS-based accounts without any notice, explanation, or anything. None of the content I purchased is accessible, and I can't do anything about it except to request a refund. There it is. Can request that refund and get your money back on that. It will be interesting to see how many refunds go through. Obviously, it will be quite a bit. This definitely is a blow to Bungie's budget to some degree, but it's going to happen when you take these stances, right? And I think that they're willing to do that because I think what Bungie's trying to do is they're trying to do what they believe is the right thing to do, regardless of finance or regardless of budget. So that's their perception. It's worth noting, however, that the situation may already be shifting. Several players are now reporting that Steam has stopped granting refunds as of a few hours ago, though many others successfully had their requests approved as recently as yesterday. Right now, it's unclear whether Steam has pulled back on this or if refunds are still available, depending on the case. Okay, come on now. Now we got refund, no refund. What are we doing here? Bungie should come out with a formal article addressing this, detailing exactly why all of the, what I'm saying? This is a very short, actually, what is this right here? Hey, solidarity with the people of Ukraine. Oh, I actually do have a full article here. We'll jump into this in just a moment. For those wondering, here's everything in the Destiny 2 Year of Prophecy Ultimate Edition. $99 US dollars, that is. So you got all this content. You'll lose if you ask for a refund and you choose not to play with the VPN. Bungie, on the other hand, has not provided any update beyond its single sentence statement about restricted by law access. There's no word yet on whether players will receive official refunds through other platform holders like PlayStation or Xbox. We'll keep the story updated if Bungie or Steam makes an official statement. See, this is what I'm talking about when it comes to like mismanagement and bad PR, right? This definitely makes you look bad. We can all agree, at the very least, that, silently banning everyone in Destiny 2 that's in Russia with an error code to peer with no notice at all not giving any explanation for 8 days. After 8 days, you give a one-line sentence on the Bungie help forums that's cryptic and confusing at the least, and you have nothing set in place for people to get full refunds, which they absolutely deserve. You should not just be refunded for the Year of Prophecy. You should be refunded for every expansion you've bought lifetime. You should be refunded for every Eververse purchase lifetime. In like, just everything should be refunded to you. This, you had the whole game stripped out from under you for doing nothing, just because you live in the wrong country. You just, like, you had a bad RNG pull. You spawned in Russia. You know what I'm saying? And as far as we know, you know, you can't respawn in real life, right? No one's figured that out yet. There was one guy like 2,000 years ago, but like, besides that guy, apparently no one else has figured out how to respawn. So if you're born in Russia, you're stuck there. And now you just don't get to play Destiny 2 anymore. You should get a full refund. What do you think of the situation? Oh, we got lots of thoughts on the situation. We're going to jump into this article here that they dropped in 2022 to see if there's actually more to this, because at this stage, we've only gotten this little set, like 2 sentences. We've got this little sentence on the forums, and then we got this article here. Okay, so this says, solidarity with the people of Ukraine. Okay. Bungie stands with the people of Ukraine and everyone impacted by the ongoing war. And that's what's crazy. This was March of 2022, and it's still going on. It's still going on. We're in September 2025. It's still going on. There was some crazy thunder that just went on outside. That was very ominous. I'm feeling, ooh, got goosebumps right now. All right. At the time of this article being published, it is reported that over 2 million Ukrainians are displaced by an ongoing invasion with no end in sight. Family, friends, homes, and communities are being lost. Terrible. Through our Bungie Foundation, we are able to use philanthropic means to express our beliefs and values through the lens of humanitarian support. Last week, the Bungie Foundation committed to donate 100% of the proceeds from the first 48 hours of their Game to Give charity initiative directly to humanitarian aid organizations in an effort to help the people impacted by this war. This is incredible. This is good. We love this. This is why we support Game to Give. Good on Bungie for this one. I know people be like, say, hey, Lucky, did you say a good thing about Bungie? They're like, hold up. They're cracking their knuckles watching this video. Look, this is a good thing. When a country wages war on you and people create initiatives to help you as the country that's getting war waged on you, you know, you'll be thankful. You know what I'm saying? This is a good thing. This at least is a good thing. Everything else is bad. This is good. Okay. A small victory in here. Players proved once again that they're guardians of the world, raising $120,000, and we cannot thank each and every donor enough for their contribution. Bungie will also continue to match our own employee donation to an additional US-based 501c3 charitable organizations, some tax code, I don't know. These proceeds will be donated to the following 2 organizations. Okay, we got Direct Relief, okay, our most trusted and longest-standing humanitarian aid partner. Direct Relief is mobilizing a massive humanitarian response for Ukraine's most vulnerable communities with an immediate focus on treating injuries and other trauma caused by violence. They are working with the Ukrainian Ministry of Health. This is good. Like, this is, you know, the people in Ukraine are very appreciative of this, I'm sure. The people that have been affected by this, to compile emergency response packs containing IV fluids, antibiotics, tourniquets, oxygen, and more. However, they are already preparing for the near future when wide-scale displacement will lead to a host of chronic health problems. They're preparing items such as cold chain medications, maternal health supplies, and medicines to care for a wide array of infectious diseases. Okay. International Rescue Committee. As 2 million people and counting have fled Ukraine to seek safety in neighboring countries, the IRC is working to scale up support of their government and civil societies in order to provide for the basic needs of these refugees. They're also calling out continued breaches of international humanitarian law and discriminatory treatment of individuals displaced by the war, calling on the leaders of Russia to adhere to this law, especially in protection of civilians and vulnerable groups such as women and girls. Okay. Looking forward, there is more that we all can do. We encourage you to continue supporting these 2 organizations in whatever way is meaningful to you. We've also vetted some additional organizations who are doing incredible work in Ukraine and would be grateful for your support. Okay, so we got some other organizations mentioned here, the Red Cross. Today, we're also announcing 2 actions specifically coming to Destiny 2. Oh, here it is. Lock in. Starting today, we will be working with our partners to suspend all Destiny 2 sales and commerce in Russia and Belarus. So that's the interesting part. So you started in right after the Witch Queen to suspend all sales and commerce, but you still sold Final Shape to Russian players, and you still sold Edge of Fate to Russian players, I feel like they should have like suspended, you know what I'm saying? Like they should have suspended it at this point in time and then refunded everyone. This happened 2 weeks after the Witch Queen launch, right? This was 2 weeks after Witch Queen, March 9th, 2022. They should have suspended it at this point and then refunded everyone Witch Queen and then maybe moved on from there, I guess. But it's like they still accepted all the final shape stuff, right? It's like a lot of the, I mean, sure, the Russian players enjoyed getting to play the final shape. Don't get me wrong. The final shape was epic. You know, that was, I'm glad y'all didn't miss out on that. I feel like if you're a true Destiny 2 player that had been playing for 9 years, you really enjoyed getting to play the final shape. That was an epic, you know, climactic ending. So I guess that's good. But they said that, you know, that they're like, I feel like they kind of said one thing and then it took them 3 years to kind of make good on it, or 3.5 years, maybe even now. Players in these regions will still be able to play any Destiny 2 content that they have already purchased and download, but will no longer be able to purchase any new content or silver. Ooh, interesting. This is actually kind of a hot topic here then, because they actually stated, the last thing they've stated, the last bit of conversation is that players will still be able to play Destiny 2 that they've purchased. So the idea, I guess, would be that you don't get to play anything new, but you would still get to play all the old Destiny 2. You know what I'm saying? I feel like they kind of said one thing and did another here. I guess, you know, that's a tough one. That's probably the one that's going to sting the most and be difficult to explain. It's why Bungie should have come out with a new article like this, kind of explaining, okay, well, we initially put these sanctions and suspension in, and now we want to, you know, ramp things up, and we want to actually, you know, really show that we don't support Putin and, you know, the war he's waging. So purchase download free game will no longer be able to. So will no longer be able to purchase new content or silver. So you would not be able to purchase any cosmetics at that point in time or any new content. That was 3.5 years ago. But apparently you were able to buy everything since then. You were able to buy, I mean, we're talking about Witch Queen, right? So after Witch Queen, you were able to buy Lightfall. You were able to buy the Final Shape. You were able to buy Edge of Fate. And then now, randomly, 3.5 years later, now it's actually in effect. Additionally, we are introducing the, I don't know what that is. This emblem being created for players to show their support for the people of Ukraine and all of those impacted during this ongoing crisis and beyond. This emblem will be free to all players and will become available on Thursday, March 10th. We will share a universal code to redeem this emblem in this week's TWAB. So this is it. This is the emblem. If you want to show unity with Ukrainian people and everything that's going on there. He humbly tried to exemplify the hope and courage that has been so emblematic of the Ukrainian people during this impossible time, alongside Ukraine's coat of arms, impressionistic sunflowers, Ukraine's national flower, populate the peaceful countryside, a metaphor for hope and our way of expressing solidarity. We sincerely thank everyone in our community for the ongoing support. So there it is. That was basically the biggest piece of conversation that we've got so far. We have not gotten an update article, but like we said, you're now no longer able to play anymore, and people are upset. I think that at the very least, you know, Bungie should, you know, new article, right? New article explaining what's going on now for sure. Let's start doing that. Let's start, you know, communicating, and let's give full refunds to everyone. And I'm talking full refunds. If you're not going to do full lifetime refunds, at the very least, you should do full refunds from the point that you launched this article, because you said that players in these regions will still be able to play Destiny 2 content that they have already purchased. So you kind of promised that, okay, well, we're not going to continue support for Russian Destiny 2, but if you have already purchased things, you can still play that, because they didn't want to have to give a refund at this time, right? Like, that's why they did it. Like, if they just said, you know, today we're ending it all for Destiny 2 players Russia, then they would have to issue mass refunds for everything, right? Or at least everything in the Witch Queen, I guess. At the minimum, it would be Witch Queen, right? Because at this time, Witch Queen had come out 2 weeks ago. So they would at least have to do that. So, you know, I feel like there's some really bad miscommunication happening here. Some really bad mismanagement. It's not good from Bungie. It's not a good look from Bungie. I understand what they're trying to do. Like the overarching idea is good. Like the idea is we don't want to be complicit in Putin's war crimes, right? Like I said before, if we were in a different day and age and different time, if, you know, Hitler was a big fan of Destiny 2 and he, you know, enjoyed playing it, we'd probably do the same. We'd put sanctions and not let him play Destiny 2. We'd not let people in Germany play Destiny 2, right? Like we don't want to be complicit in supporting countries or dictators or evil people doing some really evil shit. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, that's the idea behind it. That's like that's the macro level of it. And you could disagree and you could say this, that, the other thing. What about this guy? What about that guy? And that's perfectly fine. You're more than welcome to have a difference of opinion. In fact, I encourage that because that's the beauty of conversation and beauty of, debate, I guess. So feel free to have a difference of opinion. The more the merrier, go for it. Especially if you're affected by this and you're in Russia, you should absolutely voice your opinions. I'm not going to silence anyone or delete anyone's comments. Say your piece, please. Now people are saying, what about Israel and Palestine? We ain't going down that rabbit hole. Let's just start there. We ain't going down that rabbit hole. This is Bungie's decisions, not me. You know what I'm saying? Don't shoot the messenger. I'm just here to talk about the news. I'm not here saying anything other than just this is what's happening. I'm explaining why Bungie is doing what they're doing. I'm explaining what the methodology is behind it. Each step of the way, illustrating what's happening, and it's up to you to formulate your own opinions. What a time, man. What a time. The integration of politics and video games is a really crazy thing. I say this part because I feel like for me and for a lot of people, I mentioned this in my last video, but for a lot of people, video games is their escape, their escape from the troubles in their life, the troubles in their government potentially, the troubles in lots of ways. Video games are a really nice escape, especially in a game like Destiny, where it's literally a whole entire world. Like, you can go roam around this world. There's people, there's aliens trying to shoot you and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So the escape is really nice. I think that taking away that escape it's tough, it's tough, but sometimes there's bigger things at hand, Sometimes there's bigger issues that need to be tackled. And I think that's why Bungie has made the decisions they made. I just wish that Bungie was better at communicating these things, better at preparing people for these things, and willing to really bite the bullet and eat the refunds that are necessary, the monetary, suffering that they're going to lose a lot of money. They're going to have to refund people a lot of money. They need to be able to, if they want to stand up for what they believe in and what they believe is the right thing to do in the situation, that's fine. But be willing to pay the price, literally pay the price to the Destiny 2 players in Russia and give them their refunds. I think that's really the big thing here, in my opinion. So let me know what you think, though. And try to keep the discourse civil in the comments. I understand that these are some very sensitive topics. You know what I'm saying? These are not your typical, Destiny 2, should we buff hand cannons type of topics. You know what I'm saying? We're not, these are serious. We're talking about people's lives here. We're talking about war here. We're talking about people that have been literally killed, people that have had war waged on them. This is about the most serious topic that you could possibly talk about. So try to keep it civil, try to keep it respectful. We'll continue to bring you updates on this story if there are any updates, because I think there will be. I mean, let's be real here. This is #1 trending now. We broke the news on this yesterday, and that video is trending. And now we're going to talk about it again because there's more follow-ups. And if there's anything more, we're going to talk about it. I'm sure Bungie will come out with an article detailing what's happening. But if they don't, then honestly, it's just more bad PR for them at a time when they really could use some good PR, right?